set your intentions. We are continuing going over a literal breakdown of the summary of obligatory knowledge. So I'll be translating verbatim as literally as I can and just giving a brief review of this information and stopping here and there for some benefits, insha'Allah ta'ala. If you have any questions at any time, feel free. So today I'm going to attempt to finish this entire paragraph about the convictions of apostasy. And if I can, I want to finish the second paragraph about the actions of apostasy. It's short. We'll see how much time we have left by the time I get there. That way, insha'Allah ta'ala, if Allah enables us, then we'll start with the words of apostasy, which is long, and maybe be able to finish that in a session. It's not my intention to go very slow. Barakallahu feekum. I hope I'm not going too fast for anyone. If you need me to repeat anything, please feel free. The author said, may Allah have mercy on him. وَالرِّدَّةُ ثَلَاثَةُ أَقْسَامٍ. And apostasy is 3 divisions or categories. كَمَا قَسَّمَهَا النَّوَوِيُّ وَغَيْرُهُ. As an-Nawawi divided it or categorized it, and others, and Nawawi and others, min shafi'iyatin wa hanafiyatin wa ghayrihim, whether Shafi'is or Hanafis or others. Yani, this categorization of apostasy is a consensus of the 4 schools. That's what Shaykh said. And he said, and scholars outside of the 4 schools have confirmed these, like Al-Awza'i. What are those 3 divisions? I'tiqadat, convictions, wa af'al, and actions or doings or deeds, wa aqwal, and sayings. Wa kullun yatasha'abu shu'aban kathira, and each division offshoots into many offshoots, or splits into many offshoots. فَمِنَ الْأَوَّلِ, so from the first, which is convictions, الشَّكُّ فِي اللَّهِ, the doubt in Allah. That means not being sure. Here, doubt does not mean 50-50. Here, in the matters of conviction, doubt means even the slightest uncertainty. 99.99999 million nines certainty only is kufr. أو في رسوله. Here, when we say a doubt in Allah, it means doubting in his existence and doubting about what follows that, what is necessary to attribute to him, etc. أو في رسوله, or in his messenger, yani doubt in his messenger, meaning one doubts, is Muhammad really the messenger of God? That's blasphemy. Awil Quran, or the Quran, doubting in the Quran. أو اليوم الآخر, or doubting in the last day. اليوم الآخر, the last day, which is judgment day. أو الجنة, or the garden. أو النار, or the fire. أو الثواب, or the reward. أو العقاب, or the torture or the punishment. أو نحو ذلك, or the likes of that. مما هو مجمع عليه, among what it is agreed upon, meaning a matter of consensus. Now let's back up really quick here. We have some categories in these things that we listed. Doubting in Allah and in his messenger, that's blasphemy no matter what, with no excuse. With no excuse, even if a person is a brand new Muslim, just took a shahada. Doubting about judgment day or paradise or hell or reward or punishment, that is blasphemy. But if a person were a new Muslim and he hasn't heard about them yet, then we teach him. If a person is a new Muslim and he hasn't heard about those things yet, then we teach him. So then you know now that the fundamental convictions are two categories. Some fundamental convictions that even being a new Muslim is not an excuse for you if you lack them, if you're missing them. And some fundamental convictions that if you are a new Muslim and you haven't heard about them yet, then you're not deemed as a kafir and you would be taught. Then at what point does a person become a kafir? When he believes that that is truly from the religion, that paradise and hell and reward and punishment is truly from the religion, and then he denies it anyway, or he doubts about it anyway. Here he said, oh, nahwi dhalik, or the likes of that, mimma huwa mujma'un alayh, among what is agreed upon, meaning among what is a matter of consensus. Like what? Like the weighing of the deeds in the scales. Who doubts about that is a kafir, according to the same details I just told you. And getting the book of deeds in the afterlife. Same judgment. And intercession, same judgment. What about the basin, al-hawd? Who denies the hawd or doubts about it is not deemed a kafir, because many Muslims don't know about that, which we will, inshallah, elaborate on that. We'll elaborate on that concept there. What many Muslims don't know about, and so one doesn't commit blasphemy, we'll elaborate on that, inshallah, in a moment. Aw'irtiqadu qidamil alam, or the conviction in the eternality of the world, believing that the world has no beginning, that's blasphemy. Wa azaliyatihi, and its beginninglessness, the beginninglessness of the world, believing in that, that's blasphemy from the heart. If a person were a Muslim, then he would commit apostasy and go out of Islam. بجنسه وتركيبه أو بجنسه فقط. Believing in that the world has no beginning, بجنسه, in its kind, the types of things that make up the world, the different things that are in the world, the individual units and pieces and things that are all in the world or in the upper world, like the stars, the individual stars, وَتَرْكِيبِهِ, and its elements and its construction, all the shapes that are in it, all the different types of things that are in it, and also the shapes that are in it and the situation that it has. If someone believes that the world is eternal like that, that's blasphemy. أو بجنسه فقط, or if he just believes that the types of things are eternal, not the things themselves. Like he says, these people, before they were here, there were other people, and before them there were other people forever, for no beginning. And these stars like that, before those stars were other stars, and before those stars were other stars. And he believes that not that the things themselves are eternal, but their kind is eternal. That's blasphemy too. So he says, or believing in, having conviction in qidamil alam, the eternality of the world, wa azaliyatihi, and its beginninglessness, bi jinsihi wa tarkibihi, by its kind and its composure, or its composition, its construction, its arrangement. أو بجنسه فقط, or just by its kind only, فقط only. Oh, or another thing that's blasphemy in the heart, that means even if you don't talk about it with your tongue, even if you don't act on it with your organs, just having it in your heart, نفي صفة من صفات الله الواجبة له إجماعا, or نفي صفة, the negation of an attribute, means صفات الله, among the attributes of God, الواجبة له إجماعا, those attributes that are necessary for him by consensus. He means here, and this is an important case at this spot in this book, what's necessary, those attributes that are necessary for him by consensus, he means those attributes that are mentally necessary for him by consensus. Those attributes that are mentally necessary for him by consensus. Because some attributes of Allah, you can know them mentally without a book, like knowledge and power. God knows and God has power. And some attributes, you cannot know them by any mental judgment. You can only know them because they came in the book, like al-yad and al-ain and al-wajh and al-istiwa. These attributes that we leave them in Arabic, we don't translate them. So he's not talking about those ones that I just said. He's talking about the first ones, the ones that are known mentally, because then you don't have an excuse. Even if you never saw them in a book or in a hadith, you still can know them, like that God exists and he has no beginning and he has no end and he's alive and he has knowledge and power and will, etc. All those 13 attributes. So whoever denies them, he commits kufr, even if he had no book. That goes back to what I just told you. Some things a person has no excuse, even if he's a brand new Muslim. Believing in Allah and believing in the messenger of Allah and believing in the religion of Islam, they have no excuse whatsoever. So negating or denying an attribute of Allah that is necessary for him by consensus, like what? كَكَوْنِهِ عَالِمًا, like his being a knower. كَكَوْنِهِ عَالِمًا, like his being a knower. or like his being knowledgeable, that's necessary for Allah by consensus. أو نسبة ما يجب تنزيهه عنه إجماعا. أو نسبة, or attributing, or the attribution of ما يجب تنزيهه عنه, what is necessary or obligatory, what is obligatory or necessary that he be exalted from it, attributing to him what is necessary that he be exalted from it. Here, tanzi, very, very, very important word for who likes to study the Muslim creed. That's one of the Islamic sciences and the most important Islamic science, the science of the creed. Tanzi is the name of the creed of the Muslims about God, God's attributes. Yes, Tawheed, yes, and Tanzih. Tanzih means exaltation. What does that mean? It means confirming that he exists while denying that he resembles anything. That's Tanzih. That's exclusively the Muslim belief. No religion has that belief about God. Confirming that he exists without likening him to anything, without him being like anything. So if you notice, that means you're in the middle between two things, between denying that he exists and between likening him to the creations. So what's tanzih? Tanzih is confirming that he exists without comparing him to creations. So if someone's an atheist and he talked to one of us, he would think that we are what? Likeners, because we said God exists. The atheist thinks God can't exist because if God existed, he would be material. He would be physical and material, and that's impossible. So God doesn't exist because nothing exists but what's material, according to him. So when we say God exists, then to the atheist, he thinks we're saying God is material. So he's like the creations. And the other ones, the likeners, those ones who say that God is in a place and he has organs, when they hear what we say, that God exists without a place and without a body and without a shape and without a form, they think we're denying his existence. They think we're atheists. See how that worked, how we're in the middle? How one group, they thought we were likeners because we said God exists. So those are the people who say God doesn't exist. And one group, they thought we were atheists because we said God does not resemble the creations. So those are the likeners. We say tanzih, God exists without being like anything. So, أو نسبة ما يجب تنزيهه عنه, or attribution to God of what is obligatory or necessary that he be exalted from it. Tanzih is exaltation and clearing. Ijma'an, by consensus. He's cleared of that, or exalted from that by consensus. Kaljism, like the body. A body, God, it is necessary to exalt God from a body. By consensus, that's necessary and obligatory. أو تحليل محرم بالإجماع. or tahlilu muharram, legalizing the illegal, legalizing what is forbidden, legitimating the unlawful, bil ijma', by consensus. What's unlawful by consensus? So we're not talking about a difference between schools. If one school says something's haram and the other school said it's not haram, then there's no blasphemy for saying what's different from the other school. Here we're saying legalizing what is haram by consensus. Here, this though is very important. Ma'lumin min ad-dini bi-darura, and known in the religion by necessity. Here we must pause at the statement of the author, bil ijma'i ma'lumin min ad-dini bi-darura. This is amongst the most important statements in this book. And in this chapter of blasphemy and apostasy, he's saying it's apostasy to legalize what is forbidden by consensus and known in the religion by necessity. Known in the religion by necessity. Ma'lumun min ad-dini bid-darura. One of the most important rules in the chapter of blasphemy is that breaking the consensus is not a reason for blasphemy. Breaking the consensus is not the reason, the sole reason. It's not the reason for committing blasphemy. So any teacher who's saying that, don't say that. It's kufr because it's against the ijma', against the consensus. Don't say that. Rather, blasphemy would occur when that matter of consensus is ma'lumun min ad-dini bid-darura, when it is known in the religion by necessity, when it is necessarily known in the religion. That means not only is it a matter of consensus, which means it's definitely correct because it's a matter of consensus. We already said if it's a difference in opinion, that doesn't even apply here. Not only is it a matter of consensus, that's not enough. Breaking that is not enough to make it kufr. On top of that, it's ma'lumun min ad-dini bid-darura, known in the religion by necessity. That means common religious knowledge. I'll give you a very easy example. Imagine if you met someone who didn't know what red light means and what green light means. Say, are you serious? You don't know what does green light mean? Say, I know. What? I don't know. What? What's all the hype about the green light? What is that? So isn't that strange that someone doesn't know what green light means? Yes, it is. So for a Muslim, imagine that someone doesn't know that Ramadan is obligatory, or that Dhuhr is 4 rak'ahs, or that you have to make wudu before you pray, or that pig meat is haram. So all of those are examples of things that are known in the religion by necessity. Ma'lumun min ad-dini bil-darura. So whoever contradicts such a judgment commits blasphemy. What's excluded from that then? Something that's not known in the religion by necessity. I gave you an example earlier. I told you the howl. What if someone doubts about the howl, the basin? Does he blaspheme? I said to you, no, he doesn't. Why not? Because many Muslims don't know about that. So that's another way of saying it's not common knowledge. It's not ma'lumun min ad-dini bid-darura, even though it is a matter of consensus. So don't say that breaking the consensus is blasphemy. Breaking the consensus is blasphemy when that's a matter of something that's necessarily known in the religion. That means all the Muslims know it, the scholars and the laymen. What are some examples of things that are not known in the religion by necessity, like shaking hands with a woman without a barrier, a marriageable woman, and without desire? Some people think, Muslims think, if you shake a marriageable woman's hand without a barrier, without desire, that's not haram. So you're going to call him a kafir? No, don't call him a kafir. Because the correct judgment about that is not known in the religion by necessity. Shaykh says, mimma la yakhfa, among what is mimma la yakhfa alayh, among what is not hidden from one, the person in question, the one who's committing the blasphemy. It's not hidden from him. Yani, he knows the judgment. Kazina, like fornication or adultery, wal-liwat, and sodomy, meaning saying the fornication is lawful, that's what's blasphemy, not committing it. And sodomy, saying that it's lawful, that's blasphemy, not committing it. And here, when we say liwat, legalizing sodomy is blasphemy with other than the wife and slave woman. What's correct is that it is still haram to do sodomy with the wife or the slave woman. That's correct. But it's not kufr had someone said that it's permissible with the wife or the slave woman. But with other than the wife or the slave woman, saying that sodomy is lawful, that's blasphemy. Wal qatl, and killing, meaning homicide, murder. Not all killing absolutely, like not killing to defend yourself or your family or your belongings. Wasariqah, and stealing. So someone said that murder is lawful and stealing is lawful. Stealing here means sneaking it from its hidden place. While ghasb, and strong arming, extorting, that means taking by force, not sneaking, taking by force, openly. Yes. Can I repeat the info about this sodomy? Yes. If someone deems sodomy lawful, if someone deems sodomy with other than the wife or female slave as lawful, that's blasphemy. If someone deems sodomy lawful with the wife or the female slave, that's not blasphemy, though what's correct is that that's wrong and it's haram, it's not permissible. It's clear? He says, oh, أو تحريم حلال ظاهر كذلك. أو تحريم حلال ظاهر كذلك. Or also apostasy يعني is legalize or illegalizing or criminalizing, if you want, something obviously lawful. Criminalizing, religiously illegalizing, deeming sinful what is obviously lawful. Halalin zahir, apparently lawful, meaning obviously lawful. Zahir means outside, outward. What is outwardly lawful. Kadhalika, likewise, yani. That's also blasphemy. Kalbay'i, like selling. One nikah, and marriage. So if someone says selling is unlawful, that statement like that, that's blasphemy. Or if someone says marriage is illegitimate, that's blasphemy. And what's like that? If someone says eating meat, slaughtering animals and eating their meat is barbarianism, it's heathenism, it's murder, that's blasphemy. So what about ghasab? Ghasab, no, I mentioned it, strong arming, extorting, taking by force, not sneaking. Deeming that lawful is blasphemy. Kufr. If a person was a Muslim, that would be apostasy. Oh, nephew wujubi mujma'in alayh. Oh, nephew wujubi mujma'in alayhi kadhalik. Or negating or denying the obligation of something agreed upon likewise. Like what? Kas-salawati al-khams, like the 5 prayers. So if someone denies the obligation of the 5 prayers, that's apostasy. If he was a Muslim, that would be apostasy. Like the hadith deniers, they say 3 prayers, there's only 3 prayers. That's blasphemy. Oh, sajdatin minha, or denying a single prostration among them, amongst those 5 prayers. Was zakati, and denying zakah. Was sawm, and fasting. Wal hajji, and pilgrimage. Wal wudu, and wudu, ablution. أو إيجاب ما لم يجب إجماعا كذلك. Or also apostasy would be obligating, mandating what is not obligatory or what is not mandatory by consensus. كذلك, likewise. So we're not talking about different schools, what's obligatory according to one madhab, not according to another. By consensus is not obligatory, and what? Known in the religion by necessity. When it comes to blasphemy, even if we just say ijma, it's important that you link to that. Either you say it or you be ready to say it if it's not clear or someone asks. Oh, not just ijma, it has to be known in the religion by necessity. Ma'lumun min ad-dini bid-darura. So don't get stuck there. أو نفي مشروعية مجمع عليه كذلك. Or denying the legitimacy, مشروعية, the religious veracity, the legitimacy of something that is agreed upon. Likewise, yani, and known in the religion by necessity. Like what? Like circumcision. Is circumcision obligatory by consensus? No. Is it known in the religion by necessity that circumcision is obligatory? No, it's not. Some said it's sunnah. Is it known in the religion that it's not obligatory by consensus? No, it's not. Some said it is obligatory. So then what is it by consensus? Is there anything common amongst all of them concerning this circumcision? Yes, it's mashru'. It's legal, it's religiously sanctioned. It's religiously sanctioned, even if some of them said obligatory and some of them said not obligatory. They all said it's religiously legitimate, and that's known in the religion by necessity. So who denies that religious sanction blasphemes? Like what also? Like witr prayer. Witr prayer. Oh, or another case, azama ala al-kufri fil mustaqbal, to be determined to blaspheme in the future. That's blasphemy immediately, not later. Like he says, when this semester is over, I'm going to stop being a Muslim. I'm just going to be Muslim while I'm on campus. That's blasphemy. Oh, ala fi'li shay'in mimma dhukira. Or for a person to be determined to do anything that's already been mentioned. Oh, taraddada fihi. Or he's hesitant about that, about doing it or not doing it, blaspheming or not. That's blasphemy immediately. Even if he decides later that he's not going to, he already did. لا خطوره في البال بدون إرادة. Not it's crossing the mind without will. What? Not what crossing the mind without will. The doing of blasphemy. Because let's back up here. He says, "Oh, azama ala al-kufri fil mustaqbal," or one was determined about what? Ala al-kufr, the blasphemy, fil mustaqbal, in the future. Oh, ala fi'li shay, or he's determined to do something. Ala fi'l, he's determined to do. Fi'l, something, an action. Mimma dhukira, among what was mentioned. Oh, taraddada fihi, or he was doubtful about it. About what? About such a doing, a blasphemous doing. La khuturuhu fil bal, not its crossing the mind. What's crossing the mind? The action, the act of blasphemy, meaning the idea of committing blasphemy, just the idea. That's not blasphemy, just the idea of blasphemy or committing blasphemy. Not being certain, just thinking about blasphemy, that's not blasphemy. Biduni irada, without will. It crosses the mind without will. That's not blasphemy. And also, what's not blasphemy? What if you just pondered on some blasphemy? So now it's by your will. You're pondering on it on purpose. You stopped on it. You stopped on it, and now you're turning it in your mind like a Rubik's Cube, a blasphemy. Is that blasphemy? No, it's not blasphemy. Because all you're doing is thinking about it. You didn't accept it. Like you said, how could someone say that that would mean this, and that's blasphemy, and it would mean this, and that's blasphemy too? So it's not haram just to think about blasphemy. Or you might say in your mind, what does that mean? Is it blasphemy? Does it mean like this or like that? And you turn it in your mind and you think about it. That's not blasphemy. So what's blasphemy? Accepting the blasphemy is blasphemy. Being doubtful about whether you want to commit blasphemy or not is blasphemy. But just for the blasphemy to cross the mind is not blasphemy. You said mere thought. The khutur is the mere thought. The khutur is the mere thought. But khuturuhu, what's the who? Khuturuhu, it's mere thought. What's it? It's mere thought, not its mere thought in the mind. It is the act of blasphemy. أو أنكر صحبة سيدنا أبي بكر, or one denied the companionship of our sire Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. May Allah accept his deeds. أو رسالة واحد من الرسل المجمع على رسالته, or denying the message of one of the messengers that there's agreement about his message. So there are some people that the scholars differed about whether they're prophets or not, like Dhul Qarnayn and Al-Khadir. So denying their prophethood is not blasphemy because there's already a difference in opinion about it. So what about the prophethood of a prophet who's there's an agreement about? Also, the case goes back to ma'lumun min ad-dini bid-darura. If it is known in the religion by necessity, then denying his prophethood is blasphemy, and that includes Adam. So denying the prophethood of Adam is blasphemy, and Noah and Abraham and Moses and Jesus and Muhammad and others whose prophethood is known in the religion by necessity, like David. أو جحد حرفا مجمعا عليه من القرآن, or one denied a letter that is agreed upon from the Quran. Here. There should be a reason why the shaykh said a letter that is agreed upon from the Quran. There's two possibilities. Either that means that there are letters that are not agreed upon in the Quran, or it means all the letters are agreed upon. And he's only emphasizing that. Denying a letter that's agreed upon in the Quran, yani every letter, for example, but actually what he means here when he says a letter that's agreed upon is the signal to the various recitations of the Quran. So the Quran can be recited in different ways, and so not all of those ways are known to all of the Muslims. So someone might hear something that is not in every recitation. He might hear a recitation that has a feature that's not in every recitation. And he wouldn't know it, or he might see it written. And he wouldn't know it, and he would think that that's not from the Quran. He would deny it. It is from the Quran. It's just a recitation he doesn't know. So then he wouldn't commit blasphemy in that case when he didn't know it. But let a person be careful not to deny something without knowledge. Don't forget that denial is like confirmation. Denial and confirmation have something in common. What do they have in common? Both of them are judgments. And you cannot give a judgment without knowledge. If I say the door is opened, then I gave the door a judgment. If I say the door is not opened, then I gave the door a judgment also. So he says, "Oh, jahada harfan mujma'an alayhi min al-Qur'an," or one denied a letter that is agreed upon from the Quran. أو زاد حرفا فيه مجمعا على نفيه, or he adds a letter to it that there's agreement about denying that letter. معتقدا أنه منه عنادا, believing that it's from the Quran stubbornly. Oh, كذب رسولا, or for one to belie a messenger. That means contradict. Belie or contradict a messenger. أو نقصه, or to detract from him. To detract from him. Yani, أو نقصه literally is like saying to subtract from him, to take away from him. Take away from a prophet. That means to belittle him. That's blasphemy. Oh, صغر اسمه, or another example is that one miniaturized the name of a prophet. Miniaturized his name. صغر اسمه. That means he took the name of a prophet and applied a certain rule to it, so that he made the meaning of that name now a small version of that prophet. Like he took the name Musa, Prophet Musa, and he altered it and said Muwaisa. Now it means small Musa. Or he took the name Isa, Jesus, and he altered it and he said Uwaisa, and he means small Jesus. Because the tahqirihi, doing that with the intention of belittling the prophet, whichever prophet one is mentioning, that's blasphemy. But if it's not with that intention, then it's not blasphemy, it's haram. Because sometimes people do that form of the word for affection. Like when someone says to his child, "Ya bunay," oh, my small son. He might be bigger than you. "Ya bunay." Or "Ya ukhay," oh, my small brother. Really, it's for endearment now. It doesn't really mean small. So to do that to the name of a prophet is haram. Yani, we talk about when it refers to a prophet. Not if someone has a name like a prophet's name, we're not talking about that. When it refers to a prophet, to take the name of a prophet when it refers to that prophet and then miniaturize his name, that's haram. And doing it to belittle the prophet would be blasphemy. And if one were a Muslim, it would be apostasy. أو جوز نبوة أحد بعد نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Or one permitted the prophethood of anyone after our prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Wallahu a'lam. Let's stop there, inshallah. I would squeeze the next one in, but I'd rather not rush. So let's just stop here. Do you have any questions that I can answer for you?